The Dallas Cowboys tied the Packers in week 4. We'll break it down next.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Landon McCool. And on today's show, we're breaking down the Cowboys' 40-40 tie against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. We're going to talk about the Cowboys offense. We'll talk about the defense, which continues to struggle. But to quote John Malkovich in one of my favorite movies, I feel so unsatisfied, Landon. You play hard all game long. Rounders, by the way. You play hard all game long, and you thought you had this game won, and it ends up in a tie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if as far as ties go, this is about as thrilled as I think I could be with the tie, because at least the Packers are walking away from AT&T Stadium disappointed. The Cowboys are too, but
Just to be clear, I agree with you. I think the Packers feel much worse about this tie than what the Cowboys do.
And they should, right? Like, especially since they were 7-point favorites, and look, I think that they obviously had had the Cowboys in a spot a couple different times where they probably should have put this game away. And once again, it was somebody tweeted at me, and said when the Cowboys, I think, scored their first touchdown, well, congratulations, you only lose by 15 points. And I very easily replied, well, yes, it's not like the Packers are known to let lesser teams play with them and into games. And sure enough, that's what happened over and over again. The Packers, despite having a really good offensive performance for most of the game, their defense fell apart at certain points. And after the initial portion of the game for the Cowboys offense, where they really kind of struggled at different points, they went on a run, which I think they only punted one time for the rest of the game. So, just a crazy game in the way it swung back and forth, and also just the way the game was going. It was a low scoring affair early, and then obviously as the game got to the end, these two teams were just trading, huge right hooks to each other's face. So it was quite a fun game.
It was a really fun game. I think the frustrating point or part for me is it felt like the Cowboys had this game won a couple different times, and they just weren't able to quite put them away. For example, I thought when the Cowboys got the ball for the last time in regulation, they had a really good kickoff return by Kevontae Turpin. Ferguson had a nice catch. Tolbert had a really nice catch. So they had first down and 10 from Green Bay's 28-yard line with 43 seconds left. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Dallas has a timeout. You can play the clock, and you can score with no time left. And Pickens scores a touchdown. I thought he could maybe go down to 1, but still, you're up by 3 points with 40 seconds left. And of course, Green Bay kicks the field goal. And then in overtime, right, you had the awesome play to Jalen Tolbert where he catches the ball at the 5-yard line. And you felt like, okay, hey, the Cowboys are going to score a touchdown now. They haven't been stopped at the red zone all day. And then they don't gain another yard for the rest of the game. I'm not saying I'm disappointed, but it just felt like they had their chances to win it, and they couldn't make that last play to get over the hump.
Yeah, I mean, they're not that team yet. You know what I'm saying? Like they're still a young group, and they're still working towards that. And honestly, that was what the Packers were supposed to be doing. Like, if anything, that's what the Packers have to be really disappointed that they weren't the team, because they're the team that's, the Super Bowl contender, the NFC favorite type talk team. So the fact that the Cowboys weren't able to kind of put it all together and finish without CeeDee Lamb and without, the key offensive lineman, that's not shocking. I think what is shocking is that they were able to put together a game in which they were competitive and stuck in this entire game. And frankly, to be even in a spot to be winning it, is a little bit shocking and surprising. The fact that they couldn't, make the last second decision. I mean, look, Pickens not making the smart on-field decision to finish the game.
Well, and to be honest, I don't know if that was coached or not. Like, I don't know if the Cowboys were telling him to go down at the 1 or not. Like, I think
no, I'm sure
that's a little tricky when you're down by 4 not to score. But I mean, I do think your win probability is higher if you go down to the 1, but also it's not like you're just lining up to kick a field goal either. So I'm not totally blaming him for that one. It just, there's little moments like that in this game where you just felt like, man, maybe if you do one thing differently, you're 2-2 rather than 1-2-1.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think I'll take this game the way it played out, but I certainly agree that there were moments that it felt like, despite all the odds, the Cowboys had opportunities to put the game away and didn't quite get the job done. But, like the fact that they were even in this game, I think showed a lot of heart and a lot of fight. So I was certainly thrilled with that part.
Yeah. And let's talk about that, because I do agree with that. If the Cowboys were 6.5 points underdogs on FanDuel, and you came into this game without CeeDee Lamb, without Tyler Booker, without Cooper Beebe, obviously without Overshown on defense, and you were already really banged up on both sides of the ball. You get into this game, and Tyler Guyton has a concussion he's dealing with. So now you've got a bunch of backup offensive linemen in the game, and you go toe-to-toe with a team that we think has a good chance to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, and some of those guys, including Nate Thomas, completely were locking up Micah Parsons. So it felt like it was a really good performance by several of your young offensive linemen. The backups looked like they played great football, which you're not shocked about because you've seen them play well before. Brock Hoffman specifically felt like he had a really fantastic game. So, and then you got to see some Nate Thomas on both sides, playing on the left and the right, because he rotated in for Steele at one point, played well, and then he went in for Guyton when Guyton was in a concussion protocol for a little bit. So, and did well. Like, they didn't let him down. So, just incredible supporting performances for Dak Prescott tonight, and allowing him to kind of go absolutely nuclear. I mean, just one of the greatest Dak games I think we'll ever see, to be honest.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Dak Prescott going nuclear against the Packers. One more thing, I thought this was a very up and down game for the coaching staff. I thought there were some moments, especially in the first half, where I thought Brian Schottenheimer was a little too conservative. It feels like they remedied that a little bit in the second half. They got way more aggressive. I just think their opening game plan of like run. That's great in theory. Can't do that.
The 3-run thing is not good, but I will say I do think that too many folks were too quick to call him conservative early in the half, because I think the point of the early game was to just not let it get away from you. Like, you needed to keep the game close,
but it almost did though. Like they went,
but it did, but it didn't though. Like, that's the
kind of. Look,
if you go for it on 4th down and then they have the ball on the 13-yard line, right? They score a touchdown anyways. Like, then you're down, like, what is it, 20-2? I think it is at that point. And then suddenly you have to get into a game script that you don't want to get. By keeping the game close, at least close enough, they were able to continue to play a balanced game script, which kept them out of the danger zone.
Well, it was 7-0 on the 4th and 1 that the Cowboys didn't go for. But here's where I got a little bit frustrated. First 3 drives of the game: 3 plays, 6 yards punt; 5 plays, 15 yards punt; 3 plays, 4 yards punt. Like, they were just so conservative. Every first down was a run. They had some second and long runs, and then things got going a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot after that. But man, they played so conservative in the first half, like they were just afraid of the Packers. And I think as the game settled in, and really as they got that strip sack on Jordan Love, things changed a little bit. But you can't go into these games being that conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I also think that they were going in like extremely shorthanded with young offensive linemen, shorthanded on talent. I'm not going to badger them for being conservative early when they were just trying to keep it a close game.
All right, let's talk about the Cowboys offense, which was incredible in the second half. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss excitement this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is so much fun. It's simple, and it can add more enjoyment to your Sundays. You just have to pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, and you are in the game. I love it because it's so easy, and it's the best way to add just a little bit more juice to your Sundays. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. This episode is brought to you by Rougier. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougier Go Long. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougier Go Long. And if you're looking for something different, check out Rougier Go Long. That's exactly where Rougier comes in. It's not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. And if you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rougier.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That is RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL, and make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Landon, let's talk about the Cowboys offense because we mentioned the slow start, okay? I want to go from the third quarter on. They started the third quarter with a punt after getting the ball. Then they went touchdown, 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 field goal in overtime. Dak Prescott played, honestly, one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
I mean, honestly, you should go back before that because, like, after the first 3 punts, they basically went touchdown, touchdown, punt, touchdown, 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 field goal, which is absolutely bonkers, right? Dak accounted for 4 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, with 1 on the ground and 3 through the air. And
4 touchdowns,
and then another one for Javonte Williams. So, the offensive game plan was really balanced, especially in the second half. They were able to run the football with really high levels of efficiency. Javonte Williams looked fantastic. The offensive line didn't really seem to miss a beat in the run game. They were blocking everything up and getting to their spots. They weren't, finishing guys on the ground like you saw near the end of last week, but they were able to do what they needed to do. And it felt like specifically the early part of the game plan was to attack specifically Micah and the run game with power. And they were running a lot of power to his side, trying to kick him out. And it seemed like that was effective. And then Dak and Pickens absolutely went nuts, especially as the end of the game arrived. I think he ended up with 8 catches and 134 yards and 2 touchdowns or something like that. So
that's my big takeaway coming out of this game. First of all, Dak is just a certified baller. And you kind of but like, football can be so boring when you don't have one of these quarterbacks. And I remember the second half of last year, like, it was just such a slog to even have like a 15-yard completion. And actually, I was watching Cooper Rush on Sunday, and it kind of got back PTSD a little bit. It's just so much fun to have a quarterback that can help win you these types of games or keep you competitive, even if your defense is so poor. There's only so many quarterbacks in the league that can keep you in these shootouts, and it seems like Dak Prescott is doing it almost every week now.
Yeah, and without his top receiver too, right? Like, just what an incredible performance, right? And Pickens, again, we talked about it all week, right? Like, that this was a game in which Pickens needed to prove that he was worth the contract that he's going to be asking for. Jerry, get your pen ready, buddy, because after this game, I think you kind of need to invite George into the office and have a conversation, because this was exactly the kind of performance you needed out of him in the absence of CeeDee Lamb. He was able to support the passing game as a threat scoring. And then especially, in that kind of middle part of the fourth quarter, when it felt like they had to go to Turpin and Ferguson a lot, that was because they were basically having to double Pickens and he was providing underneath. So just exactly the kind of performance you needed from a guy like Pickens to step up and provide that gravity role that allows the rest of the offense to roll. And it showed in all the performances of all the other players, like you said, in the offense. Turpin, Tolbert, who had a huge catch at the end of the game, Ferguson, as we said, and then obviously Williams in both running and receiving was really effective as well.
Back to Pickens really quickly. We talked about on Thursday and Friday's show how this is going to be a big month for Pickens to show that not only can he be a good receiver, but somebody that you want to invest in long term, right? And there's a lot of other things that come with George Pickens that you have to manage, right? But this is why you live with that, because of what he can do. 8 catches for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did have a drop. That happens, right? You're going to live with drops when you can have 8 catches for 134 yards. He made some unreal catches down the sideline. He did a good job of settling into some zones. Honestly, I've seen, I think, every single snap Pickens has played since high school. This is probably the most complete game he's played of his life.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly felt like it, right? Where he was the focus of the passing game, and the defense was focusing on him as well, and they still couldn't stop him. I mean, he didn't fade at the end. He was the one who scored the go-ahead touchdown, or was it go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter? I think
the go-ahead touchdown. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, and I think he just continued to show up as the game went on. I think he also had a catch in the overtime period as well that was pretty big. So it's just you asked him to answer the bell. He answered the bell. I think we've been through about a quarter of the season so far, and I think that it's pretty clear that the George Pickens trade is a resounding success.
Yeah, now it's just, what does the number look like? Can you get him under a contract? Does he want to sign a contract? Do the Cowboys want to do it right now? But based on everything we've seen over the last couple of games, like, we're certainly inching towards that. I did want to talk about the Cowboys offensive line because they had a lot of different guys playing in this one. The only guy out there that was like, I guess there's 2 guys, right? Tyler Smith and Terrence Steele are your only 2 starters going into week 1. And honestly, Tyler Smith might have been the worst of all 5 of your offensive linemen, which is saying actually how well all the backups played. Like Dak Prescott, I know sacks are a quarterback stat. He had 1 sack. It was at the very end of the game. It was on that Micah Parsons play.
But only barely.
Yeah. They gave up 2 combined hits, according to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, and considering the fact that all the talk was all week long was about this Green Bay pass rush, about about Micah Parsons, what they were going to do to this offensive line, an outstanding day. And even Terrence Steele was out for a good portion of the game. I thought Tyler Smith had a good game, just those 2 terrible holding penalties and a false start penalties as well. Yeah, and the false start as well. Yeah, and then but he was actually the only starter who I think played the whole game, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, the full-time starter, right? Yeah. The rest of the guys were the backups. And then Steele rotating in with Thomas at certain points. And Nate Thomas, we're going to see more of him, I think, in these next coming weeks because he played outstanding. Like I said, several times where he locked up Parsons by himself. So, good things ahead. And the Cowboys are lucky to have the kind of depth of the offensive line that they've got.
Yeah. 17 snaps for Nate Thomas. For the most part, again, for a guy that was playing left and right tackle in this game, I thought he did well. We've heard from the Cowboys that they're going to start mixing Nate Thomas in. I don't think Tyler Guyton played bad by any stretch. He was dealing with a concussion, but somebody that the Cowboys clearly have long-term plans for. And I want to mention Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass one more time because it's so rare to have 2 backup offensive linemen that have this much experience. I thought especially in the run game, like those guys were awesome in the run game. One of Javante's big runs, TJ Bass opened up a huge hole. You hope you don't have to rely on those guys all season, but what a luxury to have.
And last thing too, Guyton, besides we mentioned that he had the concussion, but before he went out on the concussion, that was later in the game. He played fantastic. Like I thought, at least from what we could see from the sideline tape, there were several different times that he was on dealing with Parsons. So, part of Parsons not having any sacks or hits, must have been Guyton out there. He got lots of opportunity. So kudos to everybody on that offensive line.
All right, let's talk about the Cowboys defense, which I think Landon and I are going to have some differing opinions on the unit. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love the most about 5 Hour Energy is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot, and you can take it anywhere and get that boost you need to power through. Like for me, I love just stashing them in my truck or in my golf bag to help me get through those last couple holes where you're always dragging a little bit. I love how fast it kicks in, and it's sugar-free, which means you don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites that you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if you can get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. One of the things about FanDuel that I love is that you have so many different ways you can play, like parlays, player props. And I even love to follow the live lines during the game. I was checking it out all game long with the Cowboys and the Packers. On that final drive, when the Cowboys were down by when they were up by 3, Packers were still favored at that moment. I was checking the lines on FanDuel. Unbelievable. It's crazy that this game ended in a tie. Whether you're a casual fan or just love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL show. 2 shows every single day. 1 in the morning with Tyler Rowland, 1 in the afternoon with Tony Wiggins, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's talk about the Cowboys defense. 40 points allowed in this one, including 17 in the fourth quarter. They gave up, 500 yards of offense? 489. I'm sorry, not quite 500 yards. 489 yards. What were your thoughts, Landon?
Well, first of all, I'd like to clear up what Marcus said in the last segment. I think we both could agree that the Cowboys defense is playing and has played very, very poorly. I think where you and I disagree is I think that they played better than they did last week. That's just not a very high bar to clear. And I think that that's the case. You know, to me, it felt like they were giving up plays for sure. Maybe not quite as many chunk plays, I don't think. But I felt like, to me, the difference was that they were making plays occasionally. You know, they could not get off the field on third down. That was problematic. But it did feel like they were at least producing more third downs. They were getting to third downs at times.
14 third downs for Green Bay in this game.
Yeah, and it just felt like it felt like they were at least giving them a shot in this game, to make a play or to do something or to at least slow them down. Whereas it felt like in the last game it was a knife through hot butter. So yeah, just terrible defense again this week. Not much is improved. It's probably a little bit better, but to me, is it noticeably better, or is it hopeful better? No, it's not.
The hard part here is, like, there was just so many chances for the Cowboys to win this game, right? Like on the last drive of the game, the first 4th down, it's 4th and 6. You just need a pressure, a sack, a pass tipped at the line of scrimmage, something, and you win the game. Instead, Matthew Golden's wide open over the middle of the field. And then, all you need is something to happen in this game. And that final drive in overtime, right? They walk the ball down the field. They throw the ball short to, it might have been Josh Jacobs. It might have been Emmanuel Wilson.
I think it was Jacobs. Yeah.
And he gets 24 easy yards.
Yep.
And I honestly, that's the big thing for me, is like this linebacker room.
Yeah,
might be one of the worst I've ever seen for the Cowboys.
I think that's maybe where it is, right? Is that, to me, it shifted the worry. I feel like the corners played a little bit better this week, and I feel like the linebackers played a lot worse, right? And it felt like it was everyone. Whether it was even Shamar James, who only got in there for a couple reps, took a bad angle, which gave up a big play, lots of missed tackles. Jack Sanborn, they've got to find a way to get him off the field. He just looks old and slow right now.
Well,
and it's
100% agree. Like, he's, I think, the worst linebacker, but the problem is like, who do you put in for him? Because Le'Veon comes into the game, and we're all excited about Le'Veon. in the first two plays he has in the fourth quarter are a missed tackle that gives up a first down, and then he immediately comes back and gets a 15-yard penalty. And it's just like, my gosh, Leofel, like you can make these big plays, but
all of them are high variance. All the linebackers are just extremely high, except for Sanborn, who unfortunately I just think is bad. So, but yeah, Leofel comes in, makes a couple plays, has a nice big hit on special teams, has a huge penalty on a late hit, misses a tackle. He gives up 2 first rounds, I think, in a row, basically. So yeah, we're kind of holding our breath until Overshown gets back, which is a guy coming off of an ACL injury, so it's
multiple
it's
ligament
injury.
injury.
Yeah, multiple
right.
ligament injury. So it's not like it's a ton of hope there, but you just honestly, I think you have to continue to roll with Leofel because you just got to roll with the punches. And because to me, you're going to get Murray making similar kind of mistakes, maybe not as many boneheaded mistakes, but at least with Leofel, like it's a young player who's learning these lessons and improving, as opposed to a guy that is, we know who he is. I don't know that you're going to get a better version of Murray down the road by playing him now.
No, and honestly, I wonder if linebacker is just not their biggest issue going into like the offseason. It feels like, my thoughts on drafting linebackers in round 1, but you could honestly talk me into it because it's that bad right now. The pass rush, James Houston had a really nice strip set, which really changed the game. Outside of that, man, it's a lot of the same, right? Like nobody's creating consistent pressure. Sam Williams finally gets a pressure, then he gets a face mask. It's all frustrating.
Yeah, I thought is easy had a better game this week. I think you saw him cause a couple different pressures, and he was good in the run game too, which was
Yes,
good to see.
Absolutely.
So that was nice to see. But yeah, I mean, again, especially early in the game, they really just weren't like getting any pressure on them at all. It felt like as the game went on, you were starting to see a little bit more pressure. Fowler had a little bit better game than he's had. It felt like it for a while, but still not good, still not getting sacks or affecting the quarterback too much. So I do think that the Cowboys, after, especially early in the game, feeling like they were unable to kind of even pressure Love. It does feel like as the game went on in key situations, except for third downs, they were able to get pressure on Love and at least affect the quarterback and, make him have a couple bad throws. So, but yeah, again, it's still not good enough considering where the state of your cornerback room is, where the state of your linebacker room is. You're going to need more pressure, and that's just going to be a thing that's going to have to develop, and who knows if that's a this year thing.
All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every day. Check out the channel on YouTube. Download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms, and we'll see you right back here on Tuesday.